Mi-Soul.
Welcome back to the show. This is Marcia, the Vinyl MC, of course, broadcasting each and every Sunday morning through till 7 o'clock with Marcia's International Mix Bag. And for those of you already aware, you'll be knowing that our guests are coming up very soon. Today we have in the studio, in celebration, in anticipation of International Women's Day 2017, I thought it would be appropriate. So Shy One will be my guest here in the studio alongside Auntie Maureen, and they'll be talking about things that affect them within the music industry, how they're progressing, their inspirations, and we're going to be going through some vinyl platters that matter with lots of chatter.
This is Mi-Soul.
So I have some very special guests in the studio because we're celebrating International Women's Day, which is coming up Wednesday, but the whole of March is actually International Women, the month of women, and I thought it'd be nice to celebrate us, as in isolate this particular day to show what we're about 365 days a year. So welcome along to the studio, Shy One, say hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you, Marcia, for having me first and foremost.
It's a pleasure to have you on board, and the lovely Maureen Sparkles is with me here. Say hello.
Hello, thank you for having me too.
And how are you doing today, ladies?
Excellent.
I'm cool. Now that I'm here, I'm good.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out to come to the studio. And of course, you know why we're here, because we're women in the music industry and we're doing our things. And we have to take the rough with the smooth. Would you agree?
Yeah, but I want to be uplifting about that and say that it's all the fire that inspires music for authentic, innovative, genuine reasons.
Definitely. I believe you've got to have the good and the bad, and it's all influence and it's all fuel. It can all be
fuel,
recycled.
that's good.
Yeah, it's all energy that can be recycled. That's how I see it. For me, this is the year of embracing things, so definitely.
Oh, we should all hug afterwards.
Yeah, I wanted to group hug right now. I was feeling that sentiment. No, but seriously, I hear what you're saying, and yes, we need to be positive, we need to be uplifting, but it's also, I think, useful and insightful and much of an eye-opener to the listener out there, but especially women coming up in the industry who might think it's grass is greener on the other side and think it's all sweetness and light. We can enlighten them to some of, maybe not perils is the right word, but tell them through our own experiences, some of the pitfalls.
Yes.
I mean, Shy One, you're an up-and-coming producer. You're not just a DJ. I know you've been DJing best part of, 10, 15 years already.
Yeah.
But as a producer, you're a newcomer in that aspect. Have you found any things that have blocked you along the way as in your assignments of putting together beats and bobs?
To be honest with you, the biggest block has been myself.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if I've been a bit naive or tunnel vision, or maybe I'm oblivious to external things blocking me, but it's actually been myself, and that comes in the form of like lack of confidence, low self-esteem, or just sometimes worrying too much, and that stems from the ego, in my opinion. The ego can be like, yeah, it can be thinking you're all that, but also it can be worrying so much and thinking that people are stressing over things that they don't even care about or they're not even aware of. So that's the main block. There's probably been some other external stuff, but maybe I'm being optimistic and trying, to just ignore them.
So when you've released a few bits, because people who aren't aware know that we should tell them that your roots through the music industry of production have come through the grime scene.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit of how that started out for you, that background.
Okay, well, with grime, now I'm remembering the blocks, the external blocks.
Okay.
And grime, it was just fun. I mean, it still is. Everything I make is all fun and it's my passion. But it was just from like messing around, being obsessed with the records and buying them, and then wanting to make them. I got like FL Studio, it's a piece of software, and I just started doing my thing. But the blocks came in the form of like the obstacles were, and as a woman, being told, you know, you're good for a girl, or maybe not being taken seriously.
So the patronising, sort of belittling sort of comments. Yeah,
Yep, exactly. But this is partly why I'm called Shy One, why I have this kind of gender neutral alias. And
Okay.
I also hid my face. I didn't show my face for the first like 4 or 5 years. When I
a
first
bit like Eminem and Mariah Carey when they first came out as artists.
For real.
Well, that was more to do with the issue of colour.
Yeah.
Even though Mariah's mixed race,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah.
their first singles. So if I could just step over to Maureen quickly before we go to the ad breaks. I know you've dabbled in a little bit of production yourself. Can you give us an example of where you've overcome an obstacle or a block, as Shy One termed it?
Well, I know exactly what Shy One is saying with regards to confidence, and I think that is something that does belong to women embracing music technology. I had a dad who was always shouting that computers were the way forward, and so my sisters and I all decided to do languages. So it took me a long time to embrace computers. I talked myself into what I thought was a computer phobia, but actually I can learn. I'm smart, and therefore I enrolled on a couple of courses which peaked when I applied to a postgraduate diploma at the Royal College of Music. And I was very brazen. I felt like blagging my way in, and I did. And I auditioned with my turntables. And the dean from the Royal College of Music was sitting in the audition, and they didn't have a clue what they were assessing. So they just let me on the course. I have to say I did a great set. And then we did a whole years of music compositional processes with conservatoire trained musicians, and I led out on A, the turntables, and B, my other instrument, which is a 1930s wind-up gramophone. So we ended up making music in workshop environments, but it took me years to get into my adult life to have the confidence to say, I'm just going to apply and I'm going to see what happens, and I got in.
Hey, yo, this is the one and only Mi-Soul.
Back after the ad breaks with more good continuous music jams here in the studios of Mi-Soul. We're celebrating International Women's Day here on Marcy's International Mix Bag, and I have two very special guests in the studio. Welcome along if you've just joined us on DAB Radio. We're broadcasting live in and around and across London, and also through to Brighton and beyond. If you're listening through the World Wide Web, welcome along. You can get in touch through the usual channels of the Mi-Soul timeline on Facebook or at Mi-Soul Tweets on Twitter. Come and say hello if you've got anything feedback-wise about the conversations we're having here today. Don't be shy, get involved. So, Maureen, you said some really interesting things about how technology with your dad was a bit of a stumbling block, but you know what, it kind of, from what I got from that was it spurred you on, you went on to college, you did a course, and you incorporated a DJ set and impressed them all, and you got a place. So pick up from that. Before we play a tune of yours, talk about an album cover that you brought into the studio, I just want you to go back to that and tell us how those blocks, the previous stumbling blocks, have made you a victorious and an overcomer to this point forward. Tell us briefly about your history.
Are you talking about my DJ history, my music history?
Yeah, who is Auntie Maureen?
Okay, so Auntie Maureen is a reincarnation of a previous DJ persona, Cesamo, who some of you may know from the broken beat scene. And she came about because when I was much younger, I was naively involved with music and would get involved with all sorts of crazy scenes and thought I could do everything. I had a gung-ho attitude that see guys do things, boys on decks at hip-hop nights in the late 80s, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. And so I did really badly initially, but I just did it. But because it was the 80s, there was very much a DIY cultural approach to music and clubbing. Everything was very open, and so I kind of just steamed through in my naive way and got involved. I danced with an all-female hip-hop crew that opened up for Public Enemy long before they were famous.
I've seen that video clip.
Yeah, so
very good.
So that was me dancing the Running Man. God. I then recorded with some guys in Amsterdam called Fierce Ruling Diva. They went on to become Dutch millionaires, and I rapped on a a hip house track. I am sitting here going red in the face. I know it's out there on YouTube. And so I thought everything was possible, and I packed my bags and jumped on the Eurolines coach and went to London, because I thought that's where it was at, and it is where it's at. But of course London is much bigger than Amsterdam, where I was dabbling, and so getting involved in London was a whole different kettle of fish. But I was one of the founding dancers and the only female at the time of the Jazzcotheque. Jazz dancers started up Ladybugs at the sort of early days, 2001, 2002. Through
I remember that.
Yeah, we did some really cool parties at Cherry Jam that were very, very busy. They were so busy, in fact, that the boys decided not to have them again.
Wow.
Perhaps they were feeling a little threatened, but we're not here to talk about those guys today.
I have lots of Polaroids that are just looking at. So you were there, and Marshmallow, Face. Was it Face who used to sing? Katie Barber.
Katie Barber came. Helen.
Yeah, Helen.
Asher, as she was at the time.
Oh God, Lyric L.
Carol, my friend Carol.
Yeah, so that was really, really good fun. Vanessa was there, Vanessa Freeman. Yeah. So we partied, and it was just such a blast. Again, complete DIY approach, just throwing it down, and it worked. And then, like I said, the Royal College of Music happened a few years later, when I had to kind of reduce my DJ world, because my son was doing GCSEs and I needed to be at home, because I'm also a mum.
So fast forward to now. You're involved in a project called I Am DJ. I see the hashtag logo of it here.
It's a hashtag,
Seen that, Shy One?
I see it.
Yeah, hashtag
Okay.
I Am DJ. So
Tell us about that quickly.
That is a platform, collaborative platform, which is a community interest company, and our ethos is our mission statement, amplifying gender parity in DJ culture. So it's all about creating collaborations, platforms, working together like we're doing here with your show, Marcia, and just working with women and genderqueer DJs and producers. I have a radio show on a rival radio station, internet station, where I have a positive playlist with predominantly women and queer producers. Now I'm going to explain quickly why I use the word queer. I don't want to work with binaries anymore, because binaries is what divides us, and if I create a male, a female contradiction division, we're just repeating the same structure. So I'm embracing everyone who is working outside of the established power structures, and that's women and genderqueer.
That's a good explanation, because some people have, including myself, been rather confused by that. So hopefully some of the listeners got that out there.
You know what it is. You know what it is. My Soul.